Legacy Precious Metals is the company that I trust to give you good and patient counsel for investing in your retirement. The Biden administration has caused a financial crisis, and they have no clue how to fix it. Oil prices have skyrocketed, and when oil prices go up, not only do your expenses go up, but the cost of transportation and shipping spikes, leading the prices of goods to rise. And we are already seeing record inflation. That's the last thing that we need. Our economy is in trouble, and you need to take steps to protect yourself. If all your money is tied up in stocks, bonds, and traditional markets, you may be vulnerable. So gold is one of the very best ways to protect your retirement. No matter what happens, you own your own gold. It's real, it's physical, and it's always been valuable since the dawn of time. Call Legacy Precious Metals today at 866-528-1903 or visit them online at legacypminvestments.com. That's legacypminvestments.com, where you can download the free investor's guide. You can also go to my Facebook page, Jenna Ellis. I am a public figure on Facebook, and I just posted yesterday a really great interview with the president of Legacy Precious Metals, who is discussing why you need to start your retirement account even if you're in your 20s or 30s. There is always a great time to protect your retirement and invest, just like you want to protect your health over the long term. So go to Legacy Precious Metals at legacypminvestments.com or call 866-528-1903. All right, well, 2022 is going to be a critical year for America. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, along with their nearly 2 million members. The fight to stop out-of-control spending in the president's Build Back Better scheme is far from over, and Congress is plotting more legislation that could hurt our seniors. The midterm elections will be a battle for freedom versus socialism. Unlike liberal groups, AMAC is America's conservative, action-oriented 50-plus organization fighting hard every day here in Washington and across the nation for our seniors. So I'm urging you to choose AMAC now. You will receive all of the great membership benefits, including AMAC discounts on hotels, travels, and restaurants, and your membership will support your conservative values. So go to amac.us/Ellis. That's amac.us/ELLIS to become an AMAC member now.
As a constitutional law attorney, former senior legal advisor, and personal counsel to President Donald J. Trump, Jenna Ellis believes in the rule of law and the importance of integrity in our elections. And she's ready to tackle the big cultural and legal issues facing America. This is the Jenna Ellis Show. Here is your host, Jenna Ellis.
Happy Tuesday, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Jenna Ellis Show. I'm Jenna Ellis, and I am in Pennsylvania today, and it is primary election day. I am so proud and honored to have been spending so much time on the campaign trail with my good friends, Doug and Rebby Mastriano. And Doug is running for governor, of course, here in the great state of Pennsylvania. And I was one of the first to endorse him, if not the first, actually, to endorse him. And we were so excited to also have President Trump endorse him over the weekend and say that he will be a champion for election integrity. And of course, the GOP and the establishment left is panicking that Doug Mastriano will win the primary tonight because they know that he is not in the pocket of the establishment Republicans. And these are the candidates that you want to support in office all across the country, state and local, and also federal offices. We don't want to have the establishment party telling us what we have to, who we have to support, how we have to vote, any of these things. And they are not, the RNC is not going to promote the values that we as Americans fundamentally still cherish. And we've seen that across the RNC for so many different things that they have either been totally spineless on, they've completely thrown President Trump under the bus, or they have simply changed course, like Ronna McDaniel tweeting on Pride Month and saying, let's start this Pride coalition. I mean, it's so antithetical to what the Republican Party traditionally has stood for, which is truth. And truth doesn't change. Truth does not change just based on partisan policy perspectives or change given the current whim of culture. Culture has to continue to be tethered and grounded in the truth. And so I have championed and endorsed candidates like Doug Mastriano for governor of Pennsylvania because he is committed to advocating for truth, staying within the limited powers of government, and making sure to give more power back to the people. And so I have been so impressed with him and Rebbe across as we've been campaigning across Pennsylvania, and I've loved to see the ground game and the grassroots support that he has across this great state. So if you are in Pennsylvania, please get out and vote tonight. Make sure that you go to the polls before 8 p.m. Eastern. That is when the polls close, and we are going to have a great celebration for Doug Mastriano, and looking forward to the general as well. This is going to be even more intense than the primary has been, because probably the presumptive Democrat candidate is the current Attorney General of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, who is even more of a radical leftist than Governor Wolf. And what we've seen in Pennsylvania, not only with this unilateral vote by mail scheme and all of these different things through executive orders that Wolf harnessed the pretext of COVID to undermine small business interests, to select what is or isn't essential. I mean, all of these things that a Governor Wolf has done for Pennsylvania that has been against your interests. Josh Shapiro being in the position of governor would be 10 times worse. And a Governor Mastriano would be 1,000 times better. And so you can go to doug4gov.com. You can see his first 100-day plan, the executive orders that he plans to sign day one that are within the scope and the limited powers of governor of Pennsylvania. One of the key things that he can do is to appoint a Secretary of State that will be the administrator of the 2024 and beyond elections, right? And that is what we've seen, especially in 2020, was a key problem. Having secretaries of state that did not administer elections according to the state law of those states. That should just be an obvious given, that the executive branch has to abide by the law that has been duly passed by the state legislatures concerning elections. So that is a key thing here in Pennsylvania of a Secretary of State. But then even beyond that, to make sure to get Pennsylvania out of a lot of the other problems that were put through by executive order by Governor Wolf, please support Doug Mastriano tonight, and then continue to support him throughout the general election. And as we head toward November, I am convinced that the Keystone State is going to be the key beacon of light and liberty for the rest of the country because of Doug Mastriano. And so many people have looked to Ron DeSantis, who, I've definitely disagreed with him on a few places where he's overstepped his limited authority. But by and large, I'm a huge fan of Ron DeSantis and everything he has done for the free state of Florida. But you think that that's been really significant? That's going to look like amateur hour compared to Doug Mastriano and his administration, because he is going to harness the limited power of the executive office here in Pennsylvania to make sure to put Pennsylvania on track to be the best for small businesses, to be the best leader for parental rights, for the sanctity of life, for so many other things, including election integrity. And that's what President Trump emphasized in his statement. I spoke with President Trump that day and said, thank you so much for that endorsement. And he knows that Doug Mastriano has been the champion, not only for Pennsylvanians' interests, but for election integrity, which of course will affect the entire nation. So please get out and vote tonight. And then please continue to support Doug Mastriano and support so many other America First candidates in the general elections moving forward. And so we're going to have a conversation in just a few moments with another candidate from Utah who's America First. Make sure that you are, wherever you are in your state, support the candidates in your state, get out and vote, make sure that you're volunteering in key positions like poll watchers, other things, support the candidate, not the RNC, but then also make sure that you are supporting candidates across all 50 states that you truly believe will champion the America First agenda and preserve and protect our rights that are God-given, not given by the government, because it's the sole purpose of government to preserve and protect those rights. Legacy Precious Metals is the company that I trust to give you good and patient counsel for investing in your retirement. The Biden administration has caused a financial crisis, and they have no clue how to fix it. Oil prices have skyrocketed, and when oil prices go up, not only do your expenses go up, but the cost of transportation and shipping spikes, leading the prices of goods to rise. And we are already seeing record inflation. That's the last thing that we need. Our economy is in trouble, and you need to take steps to protect yourself. If all your money is tied up in stocks, bonds, and traditional markets, you may be vulnerable. So gold is one of the very best ways to protect your retirement. No matter what happens, you own your own gold. It's real, it's physical, and it's always been valuable since the dawn of time. Call Legacy Precious Metals today at 866-528-1903 or visit them online at legacypminvestments.com. That's legacypminvestments.com, where you can download the free investor's guide. You can also go to my Facebook page, Jenna Ellis. I am a public figure on Facebook, and I just posted yesterday a really great interview with the president of Legacy Precious Metals, who is discussing why you need to start your retirement account even if you're in your 20s or 30s. There is always a great time to protect your retirement and invest, just like you want to protect your health over the long term. So go to Legacy Precious Metals at legacypminvestments.com or call 866-528-1903. All right, so joining me now is Chris Herrod, who is a candidate for Utah's 3rd Congressional District. And so, Chris, thanks so much. I really enjoy talking to candidates across the country who are running in races that are so important to making sure that we protect and preserve America's constitutional republic. So what is the landscape there in Utah, especially for the 3rd Congressional District?
Well, we're excited here because we do think that we can take somebody who has basically been a never Trumper. He's somebody that he criticized President Trump when he withdrew from the Paris Climate Accord. A couple of years ago on his campaign, he fired the person that said "build the wall" on his campaign stuff. But we have a great opportunity here to put somebody that is for the American First agenda. I served 6 years in the Utah House of Representatives, and for me, one of the big issues was illegal immigration, and people don't understand how that affects everything. I was a little bit naive just because my wife is a legal immigrant from the former Soviet Union, so I have actually experienced the immigration process from start to finish. But, I've been called kind of like the rest of us that stand up. I've been called racist, unchristian, uncompassionate, foaming at the mouth zealot. And that's just the Deseret News. And yet one of the interesting things is actually I was running for office 5 years ago for a position. And I looked around my booth, and it was on the 4th of July. And I looked around, and I was the only native born person in there that night. The communists had destroyed my friend's native Venezuela. The communists had destroyed my friend's native Nicaragua. The communists had destroyed my friend's native Ethiopia. My wife's Ukraine. My friends, the socialists had destroyed my friend's Mexico. And so, and yet here I'm being called racist. And one of the things that, I think we don't do a good enough job as Republicans is convince people or help people understand that legal immigrants have actually very strong feelings against illegal immigration. I wrote a book called The Forgotten Immigrant: How Tolerating Illegal Immigration Hurts Immigrants. Because most immigrants have very strong feelings because they're trying to do it the right way. And, one of the things that's never talked about, I was actually a national delegate in 2016. And, so I was back there in Cleveland, and about a quarter of President Trump's core supporters were legal immigrants. But the media would never tell you that because they liked President Trump's agenda simply because they knew that we were losing what they came to this country for. And, I kind of always tell the story. In 2016, unfortunately, I kind of trusted the polls. It showed President Trump behind. But that evening, about 7 o'clock here in Utah, you started to see the polls that President Trump had a real chance. And so I took my two teenagers. We got in the car, we drove up to Salt Lake City, and we went to the Republican, victory or watch party, because I thought this is going to be a historic night. And there
and
again,
it
really was. I mean, just think of how much trouble we would be in if President Trump didn't have the opportunity to put those three Supreme Court justices and the amazing ruling that we hope comes out next month that the Democrats have leaked. But there again, half the people at this watch party were Chinese immigrants. This was their very first election, and they were there to support President Trump because they knew that President Trump would protect the values that they came to this country for. And
that's so important too. And I've heard that story over and over again. And you're right that the mainstream media doesn't point out that legal immigrants are here because they believe in the American dream. They believe in the concept of America. They believe in our rule of law, and they're coming here to be good citizens, and they want to participate in our constitutional republic, where the Democrats just frame conservatives and especially Trump supporters as being anti-immigration. But that's the furthest thing from the truth. And there is a wide and marked difference between legal immigration and illegal immigration. And when you look at what Joe Biden is doing on the border, this is just, it's so against the rule of law, but it's also against the principles which we stand for. So there in Utah, you're running against, there in the primary, someone who's been endorsed by Mitt Romney and Mitch McConnell. And so how have you seen, we know that the contrast between the far left and the Democrats versus conservatives is huge. But I think we're also seeing in the Trump era a contrast between the establishment Republicans and the true America First candidates. So how has that contrast manifested itself between you and your opponent?
I do. I think that's a great way to do it, because I have said that we always think about left, right, but there is this establishment or what I would call elitism and regular people. And it is. I think it's hurt the person that I'm running against. He was endorsed by Mitt, and he actually endorsed Mitt in 2018. He also endorsed our current governor. I don't know if you've been following that. The legislature recently overrode the governor because he had threatened to vetoed the transgender sports bill, where most of us think that boys should be competing with boys and girls should be competing with girls. And so there is he's on the establishment side. I'm the Speaker of the House is a former Speaker of the House, Greg Hughes, who hasn't been in, who was a Trump supporter in 2016, has endorsed me. And I have not shied away from from President Trump. I like the policies that he's done. And, he understands way before the rest of the people about the threat of China, for example. And, the interesting things is that many people have distanced themselves, but now they're trying to come back. But my opponent has a long record of, he voted for the January 6th Commission. He voted for the censure bill. But now he's trying to, distance himself from those votes and saying that he supports those. But that is a big issue. People are waking up because, there is a great divide. And I want the regular folks to in the Republican Party. I want that to be the dominant factor, not the elitists, the elitists or, the Chamber of Commerce or that wing. It's the regular people that are so important. And
and I'm hearing this over and over again. And, I'm here in Pennsylvania because tonight is the primary for Doug Mastriano for governor. I spoke about that in my opening, and I hope everyone in Pennsylvania get out and vote today. But also we're seeing this, across the country, whether it's in states like, I was talking to a governor candidate yesterday from New Mexico, talking to, another governor candidate in Arizona, talking to Doug Mastriano, talking to you, who's running for Congress, and so many people across the country who are saying that people, even in traditionally more left-leaning counties or even in left-leaning states, they're seeing that there is a change, and there has been a huge shift in the Trump era where people are coming around and they're actually saying, kind of like Elon Musk, where I'm more of a conservative now because the policies work, and I'm interested in myself and my family and preserving and protecting protecting the rights of every American,
Yeah.
not these elitist establishment. And so we're seeing that contrast, and we're seeing that with candidates like you as well, who are truly standing up for the America First agenda that really is just America. It's American ideals. So as you are looking at going to Congress, what are your first priorities, not only for the state of Utah, but for Congress as a whole?
Utah is an energy-rich state, but we do have this problem that 2/3 of our state is controlled by the federal government. And so what happens is, when President Biden, his first day did all those executive orders, he stopped the leases that are crucial for our rural areas. And then he said that he was going to expand Bears Ears, for example, which is a national monument that President Obama did. And then President Trump came in and reduced it. But then President Biden did it. But for me, it's that energy development, and because that affects everybody. I mean, it's a major part of inflation. Who is hurt the most by these policies, these radical environmental policies? It's the common man, who now is, if you have to drive 25 miles to your work, which oftentimes happens in rural Utah, you're paying twice as much in gas. And to me, it's actually a national security issue. And so for me, that's the number one thing. I also do want to claw back, get back to the original interpretation of the Constitution, push powers back to the states,
yes,
and make it so that liberal presidents can't just do these executive orders that really do that. But really, in many ways, we're committing national suicide. I've spent nearly 6 years of my life overseas, visited almost 40 nations. This nation is good, and yet we have Black Lives Matter, we have critical race theory. And that's one of the things that my opponent is not. He doesn't think critical race theory is a big deal. Well, it is. And there's a reason President Trump canceled it in the federal government. It's destroying our military. And, so many of these issues it's getting back to what I would simply call common sense. I wrote an op-ed, several years ago in defense of President Trump. And, I said, one of the things that's sad is that a billionaire understands what the common man better than every other politician, and that's one of the things that President Trump really did, is he understands those policies that affect regular people. It's the same thing with the illegal immigration. I had a recent conversation with a new mayor here, and she simply said, "Chris, I didn't understand how much illegal immigration affects affordable housing." She had just put a basement apartment on out for rent. She got 300 within a day. She got 300 inquiries, and when she would ask for a Social Security number so she could do a credit check, about a third of the people couldn't provide a Social Security, and so these 3 million people that are coming across the border, where are they living? They are going to live in affordable housing places, and yet, you've seen what's happened to rent prices in Utah over the last few years, and it's crushing. Well, I mean, we literally are crushing the working poor, and that's what liberal policies do. And
they're not for America first. And it's so well said that President Trump really does understand, the plight of the common man, because he's a citizen first. And it's so encouraging, Chris, to see so many people who are understanding why we have to engage in civil society, why we have to make sure to put people in positions in elected office who understand that and aren't politicians, but they're genuine statesmen. And that's what President Trump is. And that's the legacy of America First that has started with him, but I think is going to become a rising and even more big wave of the ultra MAGA, maybe we can call it that wave, across America, not just for the midterm elections in 2024, but beyond, because people are truly recognizing what you just said, which is that we have to make sure to abide by the America First understanding of preserving and protecting our U.S. Constitution. So in just the last minute or so that I have with you here, where can people find your campaign, help you, and make sure to champion those values alongside with you?
Well, if you go to chrisherrod.org, and it's CHRISHERROD.org, that's our website where you can sign up, volunteer. We'd love, every campaign's pushing for donations, so I'll put that plug in. But then the big thing is we have a ground game. Our opponent has, he has establishment money from Google, all these tech companies, but we have a great ground game, and we've been able to get, numerous volunteers. There's various groups this year, whether it's, a lot of the moms that have resisted masks. I had a child in elementary school, junior high, high school, and a freshman in college, and each of my kids were harmed by many of the COVID restrictions, the mask mandates, and things like that. So there's we've got a wide variety of supporters, and people are concerned now.
That's great.
But if you go to that
grassroots,
website,
so go to chrisherrod.org and make sure that you are getting involved. And like I've continued to say, definitely donate to candidates whose interests you believe in, whose values you think reflect truly America, and you can donate to them directly instead of funding the RNC. Don't fund the establishment. Fund candidates that you believe are the best for America. So, Chris, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate your perspectives, and good luck with your race.
Well, thank you. It's been an honor. Thank you, Jenna.
Thanks. I also want to talk about another great American who is the sponsor of this podcast. And that, of course, is my good friend, Mike Lindell. He has been canceled out of so many box stores for simply standing up for his own political opinion. And disagree or not, or support him or not, it is a fundamental right of every American to be able to voice their opinion, and that absolutely includes politics. That absolutely includes issues that are central to our culture. That includes faith. Mike is such a very sincere Christian, and I am proud to consider him a friend, and he is, of course, a friend of this show. So right now, there is a special on mypillow.com. Click on the new radio listener specials. Get deep discounts on all MyPillow products, including a great towel set, which is a 6-piece set. It includes 2 bath, 2 hand towels, 2 washcloths, made in the USA, regularly $109.99, now just $39.99, but you have to use the promo code Jenna. That's Jenna. That tells Mike that you listen to this show, you're happy that he is a sponsor of this show, and you will get great discounts, but use the promo code Jenna, that's Jenna, either at mypillow.com or call 1-800-564-8475 and use the promo code Jenna.